Welcome to the Lights of the Roundtable. This is Darius A. Stanton, and we are so excited to be here with you this morning because guess what? Hashtag the lights are on. Hey, Queen Darlene Brown, how are you this morning?
I am awesome and amazing, King. Super excited to be here. Another day to share the light and love. Welcome to all of those joining us on the show today, the live show. I am super excited. Our other co-host, King MJ, will be joining us shortly. Before we jump into it, I just want to make sure that you are following us. So if you are watching us now, make sure that you like and share this show and subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to connect with us on our website. We are excited as we prepare to launch a new day for this show. It will be airing on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure that you make note so that you can stay connected with us as we emit light and love, bringing you education, information that inspires, that uplifts, that allows you to shift your energy and operate at a higher frequency. Back over to you, King. See? Oh, did I lose my
Oh no, I'm right here along with our good brother, Marcus Johnson. What's up, King? How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm hanging in there, busier than ever and excited about it. But, they're glad to be here and to talk to 13 and see, what's going on in the world. And so, news never leaves us short of anything to talk about. So I'm looking forward to it.
No doubt about it. And we're definitely looking forward to our next week's show. We will start to broadcast on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., as the Queen said. So get ready for that. Speaking of getting ready, in the house today, we have another light who will be bringing his light to the round table, our good brother, 13th of Nazareth. And we're going to let you talk a little bit about him. But before we do that, we have some, well, first, let me greet the brother. You on screen. What's up, King? How you doing, brother?
Peace. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm all pumped up and ready to go. All pumped up and ready to go. As a matter of fact, we can't wait for you to flow. So if you want to hear some flow this morning, something to put you on the next level, the FLO with our good brother 13th of Nazareth, he's going to be doing not one, but two live pieces with you on the Lights of the Round Table. And we are so excited to have him as our guest. And you get a chance to hear about his mind, his focus, and the why words have power. You look at the description of the program, we talk about how thoughts have power. We talk about how our actions and our seeds have power. We talk about how important it is, for us to focus on the word. And so as you get ready to watch the show, make sure you share it. Make sure you like it on Facebook. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website at www.thelightsoftheroundtable.com. So get ready, sit back, relax, because you're about to hear and see our brother in action. None other than the King himself, 13th. Nazareth.
Peace and good morning. I have been spending a portion of this morning attempting to figure out what it is that I would like to share. And inspiration leads me here. They are young poets and they know it to this process. They are open. They are flowers during photosynthesis. I picture them scribbling letters onto a page, trying to figure out the ways in which the world works and the words work to help them accomplish this task. As a writer myself, I fully understand using ink pen as a sword to slice through the nonsense while displaying your swag. Is it still even cool to say swag? I mean, within a living language, the meanings can change so fast, but these young poets are right there with both ears to the street, capturing every coded way to speak to the issues many adults think they aren't mature enough to grasp. with the history of technology in the palm of their hands and the humanity's full body of knowledge at the tips of their fingers. All they need is proper cultivation and guidance to become more than their ancestors possess the capacity to dream of, in a socio-political environment providing them with mostly nightmares to pull from. I bear witness to them shine from the inside out, and their rhyme schemes bounce as they kick lyrics through the field of consciousness like they kick balls through the fields at games, but no games are being played. When their lives are on full display inside these lines, I take it as a sign that the future is full of promise. And to be completely honest, as writers, I pray these children surpass us. Pray that their writing outlast us. Pray they receive every accolade that was denied us. Pray they overcome every obstacle that binds us. Pray they do it all with no effort. Pray their ordinary lives be filled with everything we deem special. Pray they recall this moment and hear the sound of my voice. Pray they remember education is freedom and improves the quality of their greatest asset, choice. They are young poets and they know it. To this process, they are open. They are flowers during photosynthesis. I picture them scribbling words onto a page, trying to figure out the ways in which the world works. May the words work to help them accomplish this task.
Wow. Woo! Okay. They ain't ready.
Wow.
Wow, that was deep. That was powerful. Real talk.
No, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. King, thank you for sharing that piece. Let me just go to your inspiration. What inspired you to jump to come into poetry, in the spoken word? What to make it part of your world, your craft, your passion, who you are.
Um, I was initially inspired to pick up the pen in a twofold way. Uh, Number one was the passing of Tupac Shakur. Uh, at that particular juncture in my life, it was like he was the voice, like saying things in the world that I did not know how to say, but that had my undivided attention. Um, and in the aftermath of his passing, uh, a family member and close friend uh, encouraged me to start rhyming. Uh, I initially laughed at the idea, like, no, this is not something that I could do. Uh, but uh, after a few sips of liquid courage on that particular evening, I decided to try freestyling, and it was like a cork popped in my throat. Uh, like there were words that were trying to get out that I had never tried to formulate, and uh, I just knew that I needed to explore that, and so uh, I went and bought a notebook and wrote my first rhyme.
Wow, 13. That's amazing to say. I didn't even know that, and I've known you for quite some time. I had no idea that was where your inspiration kind of came from. But I've always known you as a prolific writer. With someone viewing us now, just mention in the comments that you've been at this for a while, and your pen game is fire, and it is. It is. You've
Thank
been
you.
rocking, and the gifted pen game is like all that, and I know that because that's what I know about you as a poet. I just think that's remarkable because I know even now, Tupac is still, after all these years, very prevalent, and so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The power in the pen. So let's talk about the power in the pen and the 13th of Nazareth. Give us some insight into the name.
13. The 13th is the often occurring mispronunciation. Uh, I have come to assume that the reason for it is the of, right? Like 13th of November, right? I think people pronounce it like a date, and so they just throw the extra th on it. Uh, but so the short and simple explanation for my name is that uh, my birthday is on the 13th. My full name has 13 letters. My mother and my grandmother both died when I was 13 years old. Um, and the of Nazareth portion of the name comes from biblical scripture. There's an exchange between Philip and Nathaniel about no good thing coming from Nazareth. And I felt that if I were able to lay my life out before someone who had never heard me speak, or before a group of people who had never heard me speak, that there are people among them that would say that nothing good could come from my life. And my response is the response given in the Bible, which is that they should come and see.
Wow. Well, all I can say is if they listen what comes out of your mouth, that definitely is better than good. It is food and nourishment for your soul and your mind and your spirit. It definitely, the words in your poetry for me have always ignited something deep within to reach for something greater, whether it's a greater understanding of self and how I'm evolving in this ever-changing world. So, wow, that's very powerful because you have inspired me with your words since I've met you. I've been always in awe of your gift.
Well, thank you for listening, and to know that the work inspires me to keep at it.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say we need more of that, and it's interesting that you were mentioning a lot about, or like the essence is basically of what you just said was around our posterity, and I think that that's something that we forget about that a lot of other cultures don't. We take pride. It's good to hear even an African American male take pride in understanding the importance of setting a runway and a platform for those coming behind us, because that's really what it's all about. Everything that we're doing here is not just for us. It's for who comes behind us, that comes behind them, that comes behind them, and so on and so on. And your words hit me, really from the fact that you have to make space and make space and create and almost toil in on the land, in the soil, to make sure that it's fertile for those who come behind you. And that's what I got from your words, man, and I appreciate that.
Agreed. Thank you. There is a comedian I heard say, I believe it was Steve Harvey who said it, that that in oftentimes people make the efforts to give children everything that they didn't have, and forget to give them what they did. And that was hearing that phrase is something that has stuck with me, because all of the things that I became interested in as once I began writing, right? Once I began developing a reading habit that was not involved with me doing homework, then I began to see uh, not only how much more vast the world is than I had initially envisioned, but also that there have been people who have been laying foundations in writing uh, for myself and others to learn from and grow as a result of.
Wow, that reminds me how back in slavery, they did not want us to read, right? And there has been over the course of my life hearing that if you want to keep a person enslaved mentally, then put it in a book, because majority of our population don't read, right? That was what was told. So it's amazing to hear you say that part of this journey in how you opened and ascended to this higher level of consciousness came through reading, which was that foundation that was placed in our ancestors.
And we're told we don't read, right? I mean, even nowadays, and 13. I would say it's not just a matter of our kids. I mean, there are a lot of adults that don't, want to put in the work needed and think that, as adults, that they should reach a level at some point where you don't have to work anymore. And whether it's continuing to grow as an individual or continuing to grow as a business person, when you stop learning, you stop growing. I'm in this phase right now where, I'm playing all over the world. I have 20 plus CDs out, and people are tripping on the fact that I'm taking piano lessons. And they're like, well, why are you taking piano lessons? It's the same reason why Tiger Woods had a swing instructor as the best golfer of all time, because you want to get better. And there's a challenge in figuring out new things because you never have it all. And, there are a couple of books out there. I mean, there's Peck's The Road Less Traveled that talks really about the idea that, nobody said this was going to be easy. And, I talk about David Rico all the time. And one of the truths of life is the fact that with growth, there is suffering. In the gym, when we're working out, we leave, 2 days later. It's not the day after. It's the day after the day after. The first time you go back to the gym where you're really in pain, but you should work through that anyway to continue to grow. And humanity really is the only group of mammals that wants to protect their kids from the things that help them develop into who they are. And that is part of our marketing programming to make us think that we are less than in just who we are. So if I'm less than, and I can think you're less than, then I can try to make you lazier and lazier and take these obstacles out of your way so you don't know how to get out here and grind. And that is a disservice that humanity does. And, we've seen it in our community as well, but it is a human thing. We want to protect our kids from, and our communities from what we went through. Like you said, instead of giving them those things that we did.
Yeah, I mean, to spring back to Darlene's point about the not reading, and to tie it to everything that you were just saying, this idea of always learning, right? Of continuing to learn when it's not work that one is being, forced to do. We go to school because we're told to go to school. I've said, I've shared on numerous occasions that I did not, in spite of the fact of how much I like to learn now, I wasn't a fan of school. I went because I was told I had to be there. But what I've come to realize is that the laying of this foundation, we talk about, standing on the shoulders of our ancestors. The more that we do now, right, the higher we build up the foundation for the future to be able to stand on, right? And again, not taking away the things that we've learned, right? Not just putting our children on our shoulders but having them walk beside us initially so they can see the very things that make it possible, that make it necessary for them to be able to stand on our shoulders and go forward. Because it does not make sense for us to start over every generation. Uh,
MJ, I think you might be muted.
I'm sorry, it doesn't. We don't have to start over, and that goes back to the whole idea of the things that we need to do as it relates to documenting. I always tell people to write your stuff down in a plan, but also to write your stuff in a journal, so that when you face new challenges, you see how you met the old challenges, and you may have these techniques. And by the way, you can then take this particular book and pass down to your daughter. I mean, as I reach over here and I have my book here, it's not as a matter of just for me. I dedicated this to my daughter. Plain and simple, you're the reason for being, my being. I do this for the love of your life, passion, inspiration, and guidance. Man, do you know how my daughter's like, I want a copy of that. And now that she can really read, we were on the golf course the other day and she read my book that I dedicated to her, to me, as we walked up and down, different fairways. And she's like, Daddy, thank you so much. That, and then talking to her and having her kick back to me, Daddy, the things that you say to me inspire my confidence. And she's 8. These are the things that we have to do. It's a process. Kids don't raise themselves. Communities don't change on their own. They change through hard work, effort, and time. And we want everything today. One of the interesting things, and then I'll shut up, but like even in our Constitution, if you go back to our forefathers, and I know some people have issues with that, but when you go back to the preamble, it's to make a more perfect union, which means that it's never perfect. There's always something to do. And God, we should do the same things. And then look at, the kingdom of the jungle, look at the lions, look at how the hyenas work together. Look at how wolves work together. There is a rites of passage. They're right by. They play when they're young. They learn through playing. And then when it's time to get serious, the lioness is like, "Yo, it's time to get serious. Don't go too far. I can't save you. I'm gonna bite you, right? Because if not, you would prefer my bites than the bites of those hyenas tearing you apart." And then here's how you go out and hunt. It's a process, man. And we can't, we want things to I just want it to happen for me. I just want to let me press a button on my phone and have it. How can I get a pill and lose all this weight without any work? How can I get an education? How can I just download this stuff into my brain? Right now, that stuff is for the movies, man. We have hard work to do.
Yeah. You are so right. I think too often we want the results of what we desire without understanding A, it is a process, and B, you have to take action. Here on the Lights of the Roundtable, we share very often about the power of the spoken word and the energy, frequency, vibration that comes through it. But that's just the first part. Speaking it is not enough. You have to write it down, because the writing it down, as we often say, I journal every morning, becomes a tool that actually can be utilized as a guide and to hold you accountable to the action you must take, right? So just speaking it or thinking it is just the part of the process, and you have to follow that through. And then we also always share, here on the Lights of the Roundtable, how important it is to sit back and do the reflection so that you can go deeper and go within, peel back the layers, get to the root, so you can remove whatever might be blocking you from ascending to that higher level of energetic frequency and from manifesting the life that you desire in your reality. You have to also align yourself with like-minded, like-action people. We talk about that. If you have people around you who are not pouring into you for you to be better or uplifting you or pushing you, but they're saying things or doing things to distract or take you in the wrong area. Those are not the people you need to be around. You know, I think it's so important. I heard something the other day that really just struck a chord, because I'm very much for my people. I love my people, but I also understand some of the challenges that plague us. And so just because I am for my people and doing work to help them doesn't mean that I always have to be in community with them. Right. And it's what I call being very conscious about. I can love you, but if you are dysfunctional, I can also pray for you as I love you from a distance, so that you don't intoxify my life and what I'm striving to accomplish over here. And I think that was something that was very powerful, but leads me back to your original statement. You got to take some action. Back over to you, D.
Yeah, well, the action is we talked about the power of the word. Um, you know, the action that you portray, as you see so many entertainers. Last week we had a show that was focused on black entertainment. It came on the heels of BET's award show and the various theatrics that took place there, the symbolism, uh, the I mean, just a number of different things that kind of depend upon where you are. It could really rock your world. And when I say that, I mean your consciousness. And people don't understand the power in words and images. They take them for granted. They throw them and hurl them as if they are, playthings. And it starts very early on in life, the way we talk to our children, the way we communicate with each other in front of our children. We talk on the show a lot about frames of reference and how things become a part of who you are. We spoke yesterday at a mastermind. Thank you so much for inviting me to the group, Darlene, and allow me really to fill in for you when you're not speaking on the daily Billionaire Mastermind. Beautiful group of people, but one of the things that we share with them is how important it is for us to be intentional with the words. I want to share something that I shared yesterday with my family. I have 4 children, 3 boys, 3 children, and a host of godchildren, grandchildren. I mean, great godchildren, I meant to say. And I went to all of the grandparents and I asked them to be intentional. I wanted you to take your very best, the very best in you, whether it's in music, whether it's in art, whether it's in technology, whether it's in relationships, whatever your best is. Take that and pour that into our children. Pour that into our children so that they will receive the very best of who you are, and be intentional about it. Be very focused, and I asked them to think about it. And then once you realize, I don't mind how you do it, whether y'all take field trips, whether y'all meet once a month for dinner, whether you take walks, whether y'all call them on the phone, send them texts, however you want to communicate it. But make sure that you pour that into them. So we have to be very intentional about the words. And so 13, as you see the words and the images that are out there in terms of black entertainment, you're an entertainer, you use music, you use hip hop as part of your productions. How powerful do you see the images, and do we really have time for words that do not encourage us, motivate us, push and produce life? Do we really have the bandwidth right now? Can we afford to hear, you a B, nigga, you ain't this, I'll bust you in your mouth, I'll shoot you in your head? Do we really have time for that?
I think that my answer may be ironic, but I believe that we do have time for it. And I think that we have to have time for it for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is that in the spectrum of awareness that exists within our community, right? Those particular frames of reference, people who are beginning to communicate, to speak their minds publicly through creativity for the first time, though for some people those are their primary frames of reference, and it just so happens that there are plenty of enough people with those primary frames of reference that hearing those references can become popularized. And then two, if we believe that everyone who solely focuses on those frames of references, which I don't, some of it I believe is, for some people it's work, right? That there are some people who are using those frames of references because they have other plans and they see this as a means that they can get money. But if we believe that those particular frames of references exist solely in a form uh, of ignorance in regard to like knowledge of self and history and community, then we have to hear those things, because those who are more aware have a responsibility to live in ways that help uh, heal those that absence of awareness, right? Like it ain't just, can't just write it off, because the fact is, in the same way that we aiming to be shoulders that the future generations can stand on, everyone in a generation is a part of those shoulders, including the people who are using those particular frames of reference.
Go
That's
ahead,
brilliant.
MJ.
That right there is brilliant, because what you just said was, just because you've achieved doesn't mean that you can sit on your, excuse my term, but you can't sit on your ass and expect other people who don't know these things, right? Again, this is seeding into your community. You can't expect for them to think about things the way you do, and you have to stay engaged in the process of the refinement. I don't like using the word better, but the refinement and the health of your own community.
Absolutely.
And bro, that to me, you need to please spit something on that soon. I will help amplify that, because there are people out here, you know. So people might say I say it more than not, but I get this. You know, people are like, Marcus, I didn't even know you had a law degree. I didn't know you had an MBA. I didn't know you were doing all these things, because you have this level of humility. You're working, et cetera, right? There are other people who might think differently. That I'm cool with that too. But the issue is this: it's because those letters behind my name don't define me. What I use them for as keys to open the door for the things I need to do, and then also to have standing to say, if I can do it and I look this way, then they can do it, and you need to let them in and to give them the chance. So when I'm sitting at a table at the board of directors and of the Boys and Girls Club, and they're talking about things that are stereotypically what African American males do, and I'm looking at them like, hello, I'm an African American male, and I didn't do that. And look at me sitting here at this table. Maybe you need to broaden your perspective. And then they sit back. But you can't sit and be lazy saying, you know, you're right. I got mine. And we hear this in our community. I hear this a lot. I got mine. You got to get yours. That is not the way to do it. Because, look, man, there is still work. I was at a country club, and I'm not going to call them out, you know, expressed it yesterday playing golf with one of my buddies who is a member at this particular club, and in Montgomery County. And you know what I say sometimes about Montgomery County and the undercover nature of the things that it has going on. And I am dressed nice. I had a shield for an event I did with the president of the Charlotte Hornets, who is a brother, who is a lawyer, who is the only CEO and president of an NBA team. And his thing that he does called Hoopty to seed back in the community. So there were a group of women behind us, none of which were of color, none of which, of course, that means were black. Started asking me for shit like the towels, and started asking me for where's the ice, and started asking, and my whole thing was like, okay, how do I deal with this? Because we also have to, you know, understand. I was like, do I pick this up? do I put this on my back as the weight that I need to carry because that's their ignorance? When they realized I was playing golf and my boy was a member, you could see the embarrassment on their face. When I ignored them and they're looking at me like, hey boy, where's the ice? And I'm just like, you have got the wrong one. We have work to do in Montgomery County, not far out in the county, to have that kind of experience at a country club. We got work to do, y'all. And it ain't about me having mine, because I have mine. And as Malcolm X said, how do they still see you? They still see you in many ways as a nigga.
They do.
Period.
They do. They do. And you know what? I just want to applaud you right there, because there were many different ways you could have responded to that. But for me, I think the silence was the greatest, because I believe that it is so important to teach our youth and even in our adults. Don't respond to what does not belong to you. See, I'm not responding. I don't even hear you when you speak words and language that do not align with the essence of who I am. I don't hear you. And see, there will be no engagement and no response, because my silence speaks volumes. So I applaud you for that, because a lot of times, we are living in this society where we are consistently seeing these subliminal and programming messages of that you are less than, you are
ignorant. No. Don't give it. Don't give it that kind of characterization and kind of weight. That shit is ignorant. Excuse my language. But
yeah,
that,
but hold on. So we the white people can't be ignorant. They can't be ignorant. I mean, they know it, but we do it, and it's okay. It's not okay, but it's an expression, so we can express it. I'm going back to my original question, right? Because what I asked was, do we have time for it, right? With the numbers that we have, with the blight that we have in our community, I asked, did we have time for it? And I thought what the brother said was very apropos.
brilliant.
He said, yeah, we had time for it because it's got to be out there, and then, the answer, basically the solution, because, we focus on solutions that he offered was, we have to put something out there and model what it is that we want to see, right? So then I got to ask the next question. So how do we amplify that to get it to a point where, because what is happening is, just like the ignorant people on the golf course, it's being amplified, right? And that thought process is amplified, so they can feel comfortable asking you that. Well, we are amplifying this thought process that's out there. And, when we talk about doing it for the money to get it, then where's the mindset? Okay, it's a short, I'm going to do this for the money, but this is the cost, right? Then we weigh that. How do we interject that? How do we present that? Because right now, from my vantage point, we're bombarded with, and the lights of the round table is about that. But how do we do that? Because we gonna call them, there's no passing that. We got to check that balance for ourselves.
What I'll use an analogy of the health of the human body, right? If you do nothing to your body, if you don't clean it, if you don't feed it, if you don't hydrate it, the natural course that it will take is deterioration and destruction, right? You will become sick by doing nothing to or for your body. And so I believe that the things that we are discussing, they're already being amplified. I think that the amplification of it is not necessarily happening through the lenses of popular entertainment. And I don't think that we should wait for it to do so, because what we're essentially saying is we want our community to be better educated. I didn't find my best education on TV or in the radio. right? Not that that education cannot and does not exist there, but it's amidst the people around me. So you continue to amplify it in the spaces where you live, where you work, where you play. You make it a part of who you are, of how you engage the people that you come in contact with, wherever you come in contact with them, for however frequently, however briefly, uh, and
Responsibility, man.
yeah, and it
Accountability.
and it grows like just like the human body, right? It grow. This is something that it grows over time, right? I don't know what the numbers are, right? But how many days, how long can a human body go without water before it dies?
2 weeks. It's
2 weeks,
2 weeks without
right?
water.
Two,
No, wait,
two,
no, it's 2 weeks without food. Well, more than 2 weeks. I think it's like 2 weeks without water.
2 weeks
But
without water, right?
yeah,
It
yeah.
might so whatever the number is, but we'll use we'll use 2 weeks for right now until we get an exact number, right? So if it's 2 weeks without water, so a human life enters into the world, and every human being that sees it looks at the life like, yeah, I got water, right?
Yeah.
And drinking water, but how long do you have to put human water? How long do you have to put water into the body for it to survive? All the time, right? It
Yeah.
don't stop.
It's
You gotta
gasoline.
you gotta continue. You gotta continue to hydrate. You gotta continue to nourish. It's
Hey,
uh
13, you're gonna laugh at this, right? So we had this doctor come on, this wellness doctor come on before, and the first thing she said was make sure that when you get up, you hydrate in the morning, right? So everything that you're saying is really screw. But you all are gonna laugh because this is my water glass today. So this is hey, and this is like, a lot of people know that I have not been able to see my daughter or at my house because she's compromised through COVID, and just making sure that I don't do anything that puts her into that compromises her health anymore. So to have Tinkerbell and the Disney princesses, on my purple glass of water in the morning is also a tribute to my daughter. And I'm a girl dad all the way, but bro, it's gasoline. You know what I mean? It is our thing. And I looked it up, and they say generally you start shutting down after 3 days of without water, excuse me.
Yes.
3 days without your body
3
start,
days.
your organs start to shut down, right?
Yeah.
And so this is, we think of the health of our community in the same way, right? There are things that we have been forced to consume as a community, and things that we have chosen to consume as a community, that all of the combination of those things determine the health of the community, right? And so the adjustments that are made, right? It's like if you think again with the analogy of the human body, you think of every cell in your body as like an individual person in the community, and then imagine if some of the cells in your body just were like, to hell with you, right? And isn't that what cancer
I
is?
love that. I love that analogy, and I think that I thank God for being able to listen.
Whew.
Uh,
That's
I
true.
thank God for being able to listen and be able to continue to absorb. Right. So let's stay with the human body, because
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Darius. Speaking of being a dad and seating, I have to take Sebastian to camp, and
Okay.
and I'm sorry because I know we were talking
you're not
about.
sorry. You apologize, but you can't be apologetic for being a dad, King. Do your thing, brother.
Hey man,
Right.
hey 13. I'm gonna let
Yeah.
you know, like, bro, you have a new fan. I'm taking my glasses off. Number one. Number two, we got to figure out how. Listen to some of my stuff, especially my new lo-fi stuff, and to figure out how we can work together. Because my girl came to me last night and said, "Marcus, you're an advocate for Black men. You cannot sit on the sidelines. You have to get out here and let people know. And sometimes I kind of coast a little bit because, I'm straddling a couple of different worlds. Bro, look, I can't wait to do more stuff with the three of you, but it is a pleasure and an honor to meet you. And thank you for your perspective, bro. From me to you, thank you for the brilliance and your perspective of we do have time for all of it. I appreciate that. I grew today because of that, man. Thank you.
Peace and love, King. MJ,
Thank you. Peace to you. I look
All
forward
right.
to the opportunity for us to work together, and we'll figure out how to talk in the near future.
Oh, real soon. I got you, bro. All right.
Okay. No doubt. So, we're on our way out. We're wrapping. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left. So we want to, make sure that we give you the time to close out with a piece. But what I got out of what you said, because it's just, really my life's work, is to really increase the output of the cells that will be destroying. There's a prayer we chant in our family: let the wicked destroy the wicked. And so we really want to spend our time and energy on building, continue to build those good cells and those things that are going to move us to a point where we're able to take care of ourselves. Because otherwise, as you said, those cells that are destroying us will overcome and succumb the body if we don't put the body in its best position and feed it what it needs to be able to sustain itself. Because right now we're in a real quandrum with regard to what is real about sustaining itself. Because things are masked like it's good for the body, but in reality it's not.
Absolutely. We have to, real quick before we jump over, I just want to thank everyone that's tuning in. We have Arden Smith, we have Nicole D. Black, we have James A. Smith Jr. We just appreciate you so much for tuning in. Donna Wells, good morning. Thank you to everyone that consistently tunes into the Lights of the Roundtable. We are so appreciative. Back over to you, King.
Yeah, 13. So we got about 2 minutes. If you could just give us a closing piece, it might not be a full piece because it might not be a 2-minute piece, but if you could just give us about 2 minutes because we got to pull out. Thanks everybody for joining us. 13, you were beautiful. We love to have you back on. God bless you, your family, your work, your ancestors for putting the seed in you. Peace and love.
Peace to you. When Talam said this, the most spiritual art, what I heard was spoken word is the art of getting to know God for a living. But to make a living getting to know life is a dangerously small circle with the deadliest price. For no one who loves you initially wants to believe that you would do nothing with your talent and or degrees other than stand in front of crowds and speak. In rhythms, performing exorcisms with lyricism because there ain't no money in the salvation business of self and kind. Especially when the salvation rhymes while holding mirrors up to the eyes of everyone looking in its direction, plus prophets don't get to profit off their own lives, and usually aren't considered prophets until they die for the very reasons they tried to explain they were alive. But once the casket's closed and the urns are disposed of, the conspirators gather round to show the dead prophet's love because the prophet is in reminiscing over what was once considered to be the bane of one's existence. Remember, Jesus was slain by members of his own religion. Christianity was not yet existent, though parts of its evolution give his life but one dimension. I hear he was totally divine and totally human, preaching the gospel in casual conversations with prostitutes, transmuting water into wine. I'm sure he drank some too, because in Hebrew celebrations, that's what they sometimes do. Doesn't make him any less divine, might make him more approachable, because the ways in which the Almighty is usually portrayed, getting closer to the Most High, puts most right feet in the grave. But a soul of Jesus' stature was so alive and so brave that the beaches where we want to go on vacation, he would go just to walk on the waves. But the people who be claiming to have the most faith nowadays be living the most afraid. How you believe in God scared of creations that live in submission to divine will? How you believe in God scared when dominion over creation was one of the first divine gifts, and God said you could have whatever you like way before T.I. did, but I understand. When dealing with the word, it's all about letter placement. See, I realized while writing these lines that the same letters used to spell scared can be rearranged to spell sacred. And in this matrix, you are one or the other. You can't be both. Well, technically you could, but it wouldn't be conducive to growth. And no, faith does not mean life will present itself as just as you hope. Faith means however life presents itself, you will be able to cope with a smile on your soul. Like, don't I make this look easy? Don't my stare look like it's healing? Don't my laughter remind you of children? Don't my posture look like I'm always chilling? We be going through the same drama, but don't I always look different? That's just the result of getting to know life for a living.
Woo!
That's 13th of Nazareth.
Nazareth.
Hey, check him out. Follow him on Facebook, YouTube, IG, Twitter. The brothers out there, look for him through social media. Look at him on YouTube. He has so much positive media. Push positive media. Thank you so much. This is Darius A. Stanton for Darlene Brown, the Queen, and our King MJ, and our brother 13th of Nazareth. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace.
The lights are
Don't
on.
forget, hashtag, the lights are on.